Hey, Matt, this is Chris Hillier from Deckers. Just wanted to call and congratulate you guys on your 100th shoe-in show. Sure am enjoying listening along to you and Andy, and just the humor and obviously the relevant topics that you guys are covering. Really enjoy the show. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Hey, Matt and team. It's Diane Sullivan calling to congratulate you on your 100th shoe-in show. I can't tell you how much I love these podcasts. Not only are they informational and informative and interesting, but I have to tell you, you and Andy are quite a comedic pair. Who knew? So congratulations on your 100th and all the best. Take care.
You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Hi, this is Matt Powell from the NPD group calling the Shoe-In Show. Just congratulate you for your 100th episode. It's been a long road and a lot of fun. And one of my favorite go-to podcasts. I like to call it Guys with No Ties. All the best.
That was Matt Powell, Guys with No Ties.
Yeah.
I don't think that guy owns a tie. But
Should it be Guys with Shoes?
Guys with Shoes is more appropriate. Yeah.
We're in studio, and our producer and the building owner, where we actually record. We actually are not in Matt's mom's basement.
No, we're not.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
If you didn't get that, I'm letting you know straight up.
We'll still use the joke.
But the building owner and operator and our producer actually just brought in a cake with the 100s.
Yeah.
The Sentinel. So we're 100 years old, or it's 100 episodes.
Well, from my view, it's the first episode, so 001. So.
We'll blow it out, Matt.
All right. 100 episodes.
Is that a fire hazard?
I think it is.
There goes the fire alarm.
Yep.
That's right.
They're going to be thinking we're doing
here.
something else in here. So, 100 episodes. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is unbelievable. We've been doing this, I don't know, for a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And we started this podcast. It's not a fluke, but it was just kind of fortuitously done, right? I came out to meet with Blake and Ernesto, who own Human Media Factor.
Yeah.
And they specialize on podcasts, and they do it for the NRF and convenience stores and companies in general. And I came out here and just did an episode on shoes. They want to know more about the Footwear Association and what we do. And I really liked it. So we started a conversation about this. Might be interesting to actually be countercultural in terms of everybody's talking in 140 characters. Can you actually get anything out of a conversation on social media? Can you actually get things out of it that are meaningful to your business?
Unless you're Matt Powell.
Probably true. But that's really why we started Shoe-In Shows, saying, we need like these 20-minute, 30-minute conversations about what's happening. Everybody has a different view.
Yep.
There's no golden goose to this industry. Everybody has different cultures that work. Everybody has different products that work and different processes that work. But as you listen to different people talk about it, you can glean different things and kind of create your own thing, whether you're a startup or whether you've had an existing business for 100 years that is going through this turbulent time. Shoe-In Show hopefully brings some ideas and thoughts that are a little bit different and long form, that are kind of non-invasive. You can listen to it on the way home. We send out the emails for the morning commute, for your evening commute. But what's really cool is when we started off, they asked what the metric was.
Right.
What was success?
Right.
We don't really know.
Right.
We just want to try and see if we can get some conversations started about things. And, we went over to Asia in the last several years, or 2 or 3 times. People talk about Shoe-In Show there, how much they like it, which is always surprising to me. Yeah. Or whether a effing platform or Fanny, or whether we're in Portland meeting someone within the industry we've not met before. That's one of the first things. So, first of all, congratulations to us, but thanks to the listeners for keeping us going for 100 episodes. Who knew? It could have been 10 and we could have been cut. We could have cut ourselves off the air, but we kept going.
Well, I have to say this is Andy's brainchild. When he came to me and said, "Hey, let's try out this podcast thing." I actually listen avidly to podcasts. I mean, there's so many out there that any niche kind of thing you're into, you can find a podcast.
True.
And I was like, what are we going to talk about? And I just remember at the time, our first episode taping here, I guess in the summer of 2016, being nervous about, all right, how, people ask us all the time. We wing this.
Yeah,
we totally 100% wing it.
I think you have
100%. You have to. It makes it more authentic. But it's become, from those first few episodes where I was nervous about what do we say and how do we talk about. And it's interesting when you see people who come in and get on the show who are they're very adept at speaking to media. They even get there's a little apprehension there about, all right, how do I think through this and how I talk about it? To now, it's like this creative outlet that I really look forward to doing it. And when we don't do it for a few weeks or whatever the case may be, I miss it.
Matt has things to say. Has to get out.
To say. I got to get off my chest.
It is true, though, because when people come on here, the first 5 minutes, if they've not done this before with us, there's a little bit of apprehension, nervousness. They're not really sure. And then hopefully after the first 5 minutes, they get comfortable and then they kind of open up. That's happened several times with several different people. One of those was Peanut.
Oh, yeah.
From 311.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where Matt is a huge 311 fan.
Yeah. I
listen to 311, and I like 311, but Matt is an actual fanatical 311 fan. And
so let's pause right there. These are the episodes that when we have these. Matt is really into Batman. Matt loves Batman. Matt, what do you think about Batman? Matt's really into shoes. Like, Matt has way too many shoes. Matt is passionate about 311. Like, I clearly am passionate about many, many things.
Yeah. But you got Peanut on, which was awesome. It was a random shot in the dark.
I just emailed their publicist, and he was all about it. And then Thomas and I met him backstage at a concert in October after the fact.
Which was awesome.
We spent
really
30
cool
minutes
guy.
chatting with him about shoes. Yeah. We picked up some Under Armour shoes because the show was in Baltimore, so he rocked those on. He wore them on stage.
So his first 5 minutes was very like, what am I doing?
Right.
Who's got me into
these
this?
clowns?
Like, and then after that, he really jumped in with a lot of stuff. But it's not just that; it's industry folks who hop on for a minute and they're okay. One person who had no problem and was off to the races right off the bat was Bob Campbell with BBC telling his story.
Yep.
So if you go back to the catalog, and some of these we'll talk about, and we'll have a few more people, chime in and wish us happy 100 episodes, but. Bob Campbell's stories about going into China and sleeping on the floor in the factory and just being kind of an innovator and all his stories just kept going and going and going. Those are the kind of the people that I love hearing from. The people who've been in it for a long time and who are still at it. And the brilliant thing about those guys are the industry's changed so much, but they're still at the top of their game because they're constantly thinking. And even though they have these big companies that are entrepreneurial, it's that culture of... that they foster and the energy that they have.
I've been humbled by just traveling. One, this is awesome. I love you guys. I love doing this podcast. We have a lot of fun. This is genuine kind of banter. We don't walk off and not get along off camera or off the set here. And what's interesting is that traveling and going to meet our members at their headquarters, there'll be someone in the customs compliance department, someone in accounting, someone who is just likes shoes, and they tell us, they listen, they thank us. It's like so humbling. I'm like, I'm just an idiot talking about shoes, and we have the ability to press record.
When they say it's weird hearing your voice, it's weird hearing you say that you're hearing my voice in person. That also is strange, but
it's so strange.
Yeah, Jasmine's had some shoe celebrity. She's our shoe celebrity. She gets sightings. Jasmine, shoe celebrity.
But it's cool, like when you think nobody knows you and you introduce yourself, and they're like, "Oh, I already heard you," and it's like that's really cool. I never really thought about that. You definitely are. Since I came in midway, it's a little scary, but I think you feel the energy is like not scary once you start. So it's like, it's okay. It'll be okay. Just talk,
Well, I knew she was a keeper. I knew Jasmine was a keeper because when we interviewed with her, she had listened to Shoe In.
Yeah.
She had done her homework. And so she knew what it was. We had other people like, Shoe what? Podcast? So I knew from the get-go that she would fit in really well with us. And as we talk about, steer us in the right direction on the fashion side in particular. So we are grateful that Jasmine's a part of this crew.
It's fun.
Yeah, and Thomas.
And Thomas,
who was the voice. He was the serious Walter Cronkite voice. And this is Thomas with news you can use.
There's his music.
This week in footwear, buy shoes. Buy shoes. Buy shoes. Subliminal advertising is taking hold.
That's a good one. That's a good impression.
Do you play this as your theme song when you get home? To your
I
wife
do.
Oh my God, this is what he wakes up
I
to.
listen to it as I'm walking back the commute every day.
Time to make the donuts.
Or it's actually, you hear this in your sleep. It's like a nightmare.
Right. It's one song and you hear it over and over again, right?
And it takes you like 100 takes to read the news.
Exactly.
Right?
I think one of the things that we're constantly trying to do on the show, though, is get more voices involved.
Yeah.
I love hearing from independent retailers that are out in the country. I love hearing from sales reps across the country. So as people listen to this, honestly, when we say, if you have an idea of a show or you want to come on, we actually do mean to come on the show and talk to us, because the whole idea of the show is to really kind of bridge the gap. There's so many different departments and companies and consumers who don't know anything about what happens, behind the retail curtain.
Yeah.
And it really is trying to help explain what Jack does in compliance and what Janet does with customs and what Bill does in Asia to make the shoes there and get them in, and then what Bobby Joe does on the floor to sell it.
These random names. Yeah, no, it's so true. And that's like a testament to the people who've been willing to step up and be a part of this, because when we started out and we started to we built a portfolio now over a year and a half of episodes and content that people, I think, really appreciate. But it took us a while to get to that. And, we've had so many great guests on the show who provide us content and information.
And it's still really relevant. If you go back,
shocked that we've been able to there are times I drive the studio, and people may not know this, but we tape these in kind of chunks. And there are times I'm driving to the studio where I know we're taping 4 or 5, and we have one guest lined up.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about? And we knock it out of the park because people want to get on last minute, or we come up with a topic collectively that we talk about. And so it's always worked really well. And if you told me we'd be doing this 100 years,
that's a long show, right?
100 episodes in.
That's some orthopedic shoes right there.
I've been like, that's crazy. How much content can we find? But now I'm like, 200 is not going to be enough. 300 is not going to be enough. So we're going to keep doing this as best as we can.
And I think we should also talk about the team that we have behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know, but we have a full-fledged production team behind us, who we meet with quite often and talk about. I mean, we're constantly evaluating our content, making sure we're pushing it out the right channels, figuring any way to elevate our game along with new media. So a lot of people will start seeing now, if you go on YouTube, we'll be publishing. You actually get to see us in studio. Yep. So if you're driving down the road and you just want to download the podcast and listen to it on your phone as you come in, that's great. But we're trying to find new channels that, if you want more of a visual effect and see our radio faces, you can watch us on YouTube. But our production team, our production team works really well with us.
They're so collaborative, right?
They are collaborative, and they give us ideas. We give them ideas, and we kind of figure out our way through it. But they make us sound good on the back end.
Big time.
I'll say that we've only edited 2 shows
out of 100.
Out of 100. That's the test.
Either of those our fault?
No. Those were people who were too overprepared and didn't hit their point. So, and if not, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when they come on again, I'm going to make sure they don't have their notes with them.
Yep.
But
we love you. Those who are listening, with those 2 people, we love you.
But it's a testament to the free flow that we have, but also the comfort we have with our producers, that if there is an error, then we can correct it and make sure. But in the end, it takes the equipment around us costs tens to $100,000 of
this is
mixing and audio and all that, and I think
and their clientele is Discovery. I mean, all these great media companies. So it's just they're not my neighbor's basement guy who's welcoming me over. So it's definitely
and they the traveling they came to FTDC.
Yep.
For a live event, and that was neat to be a part of that. To have our normal crowd at the big customs and logistics conference we do every year in October, and to have them come out for that, and I think the crowd really had fun with it. They were part of it, and it was different. That's a challenge, I'm sure, for the production team to do a live taping like that, and exactly, But that was really cool to be a part of that.
But it's what people are doing nowadays. There are a lot of podcasts that are having events and having live podcasts. So it's definitely something that we're keeping up to speed with what's going on right now.
Yeah, and you're the one that helps us do that, because when someone's like, "You guys got to get on YouTube," everyone's on YouTube. I'm like, really? And Jasmine's like, yeah, people just turn on YouTube and listen to it. They don't even watch. I'm like, really? Okay.
I mean, some people don't open up that podcast app. You just go to YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's options.
Well, there we are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically that 10 years ago to be able to, if you could see that would be the medium where people consumed information. It's just amazing how much things have changed.
Yeah, when the cable company's bill starts becoming $150, you start wondering,
right?
Is this really worth it? You know, because then I'm like, well, I got to get my money's worth. I got to sit on the couch
all damn day.
I'm going YouTube.
Well, I think we had a number of people who you heard Matt Powell call in, and he's been on twice, I think. We have a number of other people who I think have called in, and I haven't heard all these, so some of these are going to be surprises of people who've called in.
All right, let's pop them in.
Hey, this is David Kahn from Birkenstock. Wow, 100 shoe-in episodes. Has it been that long?
Yes.
Anyhow, fantastic show, guys. I find it engaging and informational, and it's a must-listen on my way to the office. Congratulations, guys, on the first 100. Here's to the next 100.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Bye.
Love David. He is awesome.
David's a good dude.
He's a great guy.
One of my first speeches I had to give with FDRA, I had to go to WSA when it was still the WSA, and David was running that at the time, and I went up and gave the speech, and I hit some rough spots. I didn't do so well with it. I came on stage, and David was like, "You did a great job." And I was like, "This is a nice guy." I mean, because I don't think I did that good of a job.
Right.
But once he got with Birkenstock, I was really excited for him and what he's done with the brand and the brand itself. But more so, we had him come on an episode, and it was at a kind of an interesting time with Birkenstock when they were having a bit of a tiff with Amazon, and I guess they still are a little bit. But he wasn't really publicly talking about what was happening, but he was like, with you guys, I'll come on and I'll talk about it, because he said I can talk about it in long form. It's not going to be a soundbite somewhere.
Right.
But I can actually say what I think and why I'm doing this so people can better understand it. So we really appreciate David for coming on and explaining that. And
and it resonates. He's one of those guys that everyone loves him. That message regarding Amazon is something that resonates with our industry right now. We're all trying to figure that out. And his booth is always in the same spot on the FM platform, where right next to us, so it's convenient for him. So it was awesome to have him on.
Yo, Matt, Chris Burns, Part-Time House of Kicks Network. I'm under the weather, man, so my voice is scratchy. I apologize, but I couldn't pass up the chance to just shout out FDRA Shoe-In Show, and congratulate you guys on getting to 100 episodes, man. That's crazy. Congratulations. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'm really proud to be a part of your success, man, and continued prosperity heading into 2018. Sorry about the cracky voice, man. Under the weather. I couldn't miss this opportunity. Congratulations.
Chris Burns, man. The cool thing about the show is that Chris is an influencer. He's out there. He's a really smart guy. And this show connects people, you know, and he had an interest, and I saw his stuff out there on Twitter. I just hit him up on Twitter, and next thing you know, he's a guest. So we're talking about resale and sneaker releases.
I mean, he brought it. He brought the truth.
He did, man.
I mean, I was sitting there thinking, like, he was taking us down some areas and ways that I didn't even think about.
Right.
And it changed my thinking about how channeling is done nowadays, and then what some of the big brands are trying to do, and how that impacts
limiting the small guys. He was so predictive of that,
Yep.
and the next thing you know, there are announcements about these major brands limiting that that channel.
It's cool to have somebody who has an actual opinion.
Yeah,
somebody
true.
is on one side of the fence. Those are always like the most interesting interviews.
Yeah, and his analysis is actually really good. There'll be an earnings call for one of the big brands, and he'll put out his synopsis or his analysis of it. So he's a well-valued voice within our industry, and we'll probably have him on again here soon. So,
hey, Shoe-In Show. This is Sarah Bowersock from Keen Footwear. Congratulations on your 100th episode. I'm super proud to have been a part of it so far. Let's do more great stuff.
Sarah does a lot of great stuff for Keen. She is
for us,
and she is in the weeds and gets her hands dirty and volunteers and works hard. She was on Shoe-In when we were in Portland. She helped us get the tour of the Keen facility where we recorded our Labor Day week kind of binge listen, where we were the 3 episodes
the
within their
innovation
factory.
series.
Yeah,
the cool music.
I forgot about that. I love we'll go to that in a second. We'll go to the music in a second. But Sarah's she's great people and just is kind of representative of the folks in Portland that we work with on a daily basis.
Hi, Matt. It's Sam Poser, and congratulations on your 100th shoe-in show. You guys, we all learn a lot from it with a great sense of humor that you have and the great information you provide. I wish you another 100+ shows over time. So thanks again.
Overtime. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
I like Sam.
I like Sam too.
Sam's a good dude.
He's one of those guys got opinion, as Jasmine just talked about, and you don't always agree with it, but he brings it as you indicated for Chris, Andy. And now that OJ's out of prison, maybe I don't know what Sam's been doing, but
we can do a collaboration.
We can do a collaboration
called the Glove Shoe.
Yeah, the collaborations are out of control when it gets there. Out of control.
But Sam's an analyst, a financial analyst.
It was interesting talking to him about. Talking to him a little bit about how that actually works as a financial shoe analyst and what he looks for, and it's interesting because he has to speak truth to power, and it's not always appreciated, and so he's in a tough spot, but he explained it pretty well to us about what happens and why, and
he did. And I have to say, one of the goofy things that we do is ask people their shoe story, and sometimes I know these people, I worked with them for years, I don't know it. And then, with Sam, I was in his office one day, and I looked on the wall, and there was a framed picture of him on the stand at the OJ trial. And I was like, what? So I had to get that. We had to make sure he talked about that because there's so many cool stories like that within the footwear industry that this show kind of exposes to people so that people understand, the diversity of experiences that our folks have had.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, it's Pellegrini, your customs counsel. I understand today is your 100th podcast. Congratulations to you and Andy and Thomas. Great idea. Hope you enjoy it. Take care.
We do enjoy it, John. Our 100th podcast. We have so many podcasts. There are 100 of them.
Yeah.
John's
done several
of
those.
Pellegrini,
he's talking again.
He's left another. He liked it so much, he's left a second message.
Hey, Matt, it's Pellegrini.
Third time. He loves it.
John's my favorite because he has no fluff. He gets straight to the point with everything. He barely even says hello when I pick up the phone. I love John.
Jasmine? I don't know.
He's done several good episodes with us, and John is on point, knows what he's talking about, but he also knows to take us with a grain of salt. I mean, one of my favorite episodes, we were taping at FTDC. We did side interviews. And he was explaining, if the shoe had to be this amount of money to get the duty reduction.
Right.
And I was like, so he was saying something like it could be 5 cents. I was like, what do you do, sew a nickel into the shoe? And he was just like, no, Andy. I got scolded. I always get scolded by John, but, he takes it in good humor. So.
When you tell these stories, it reminds me of like a flashback on a sitcom.
Yeah.
My kids are watching the original Full House right now, and it's like, remember that time? There's like a bubble, and then there's you and John talking about nickel footwear and the music or whatever. So it's fun.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Hi, Matt. It's Mom.
Oh,
just wanted
Mommy.
to call and say congratulations on your 100th shoe-in show episode. Great job to you and all your gang.
Would my mom say anything else? Great job.
She'd probably say, call me back, Matt. It's been weeks.
Exactly.
Hi, Matt. It's Mom.
It has been weeks.
Hi, Matt. It's Mom.
Remember me?
We had my mom and dad on Veterans Day, if I remember correctly, and it's funny because my dad is actually the one who listens religiously. My mom kind of gets the synopsis, which is fine, but my mom and my dad are good people. So I will say, as I said on the show, when I wanted shoes, I took my dad shopping because he'd hook me up with Air Jordans. My mom wouldn't have that. But I still love you, Mom. Still love you.
Hey, Matt, it's Rick Muscat from Deer Stiggs. I just wanted to let you know I understand the 100th episode of Shoe-In show is about to air, and I just wanted to congratulate you on this great new initiative you did for FDRA and for the whole shoe industry. I love listening. I've enjoyed many of them. Some were very informative, but the ones that stick out in my mind that were fun was the one about shoes and songs. I just want to let you know I called the shot during the countdown that number one would be These Boots Were Made for Walking, Nancy Sinatra. Also loved the episode where you interviewed your dad and about the importance of his military boots during his service in Vietnam. Anyway, congratulations, great initiative. I look forward to the next 100 episodes. Take care. Bye.
Rick he's an awesome guy. He has been our chairman, our treasurer. He's given so much of his time to FDRA, to us as people, as men and women,
and the whole industry. Set him on a lot of different boards.
Yep.
It was nice. He came in studio.
Yeah.
Early on,
2016.
we try to get a lot of people in the studio. They can't always do it, so sometimes we have people to call in.
Yeah.
But he came in and he really his shoe story was really interesting because it's a family-owned business.
Right.
And his family started sourcing overseas early and bounced around in Spain and Portugal and then over into Asia. And so when you hear those kind of stories about where we came from as an industry to where we are today, and they're still around making great leather shoes.
Yeah.
And so that was nice to have him come in and spend some time with him and talk about that. And because again, it's the same thing that you were saying. We work with these people all the time, but we don't always know the stories, and there's some really dynamic, fun stuff to find out about people.
Yep.
It's interesting too. He said about talking about the top 10 songs. You know, I feel like a lot of people, you know, those are fun episodes, like he said. But there's the movies and some of the other things.
We do that one too.
Yeah.
People actually, I think a lot of people like. You know, I've heard that as well. That people like hearing the fun and casual stuff too, in addition to the great stories and guests we have on.
We bank those. We usually drop them like on a holiday Monday.
Yeah, because you think nobody cares.
Right, exactly. Like, no one's listening.
And they both say that they love those.
Yeah, exactly. All those ones about the business, I hate those. But and it's usually, we don't prepare. Someone just Googles top shoe songs, and then we just go through it blindly. And that's why it's sometimes kind of odd.
Yeah, some kind of drops off in the middle of nowhere, and we're like, okay,
skip that one.
Yeah. So, what else? What else we got, Blake? How many more? We got one more. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, Matt. This is Greg Tunney, chairman of 210. Just wanted to congratulate you and your team for your 100th episode of the Shoe Show. Very, very exciting for you. You've already outlasted and you have more episodes than Breaking Bad, House of Cards, and Gilligan's Island. So congratulations to you, to Andy, to Thomas, to the entire team at FDRA. Love the work. Keep it going. Take care, man. Bye.
That's Greg Tunney. He's the chairman of 210 and was our chairman not too long ago, and just is so involved in the industry, is just, again, another guy with a great story, a great family, so much, is willing to kind of devote so much of his time to the industry, and so to have him, he was the slipper king at one point. He came on.
That was one of the best
slippers.
That stands out because that's when when I started the songs. Really kind of the whole the slipper song.
Andy's
there we go with the
hits.
reverbs.
With
the
was
funk
an early
music.
one too, right? That was one of the first songs.
By the fire.
Yep.
How about we do a little freestyle there, Andy?
No.
Yeah, come on. Blake,
it's almost spring. It's almost spring.
We must play the behind the scenes of you guys rapping. The world must see that. You have to let that out.
Let's see what Blake can come with.
No.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah. 100 episodes for your listening pleasure. Said 100, 100, 100. Better download them now. It's the holy cow. It's Shoe-In Show. Shoe-In Show. Got Matt, Thomas, and Jasmine. Eddie Pope, what's the happening? Shoe-In Show. 100 episodes for your pleasure.
That was very pleasurable.
Wow. I know, it was pleasurable. That one was good. Also,
nice transition there.
I'm just thinking back to Greg. Greg called in, and we know the backstories. He called in. It was the middle of like Fanny, or it was the middle of like market week,
right? And
he's literally in a closet trying to like call on his phone, and he's not sure about what we're talking about half the time because he was one of the first ones on, so he had heard like maybe an episode or something like that and wasn't quite sure. He took him about 5 minutes, and he jumped right in, and that's when he declared himself at the time the Slipper King.
Right.
And another really good one that I enjoyed was Cliff Sifford.
Oh yeah,
because Cliff's the kind of guy where you can just you just say whatever you think, and he's one of the most genial people you ever meet in your life.
Yeah, he is.
And so I'd say all these off the wall things about trying to work for him, and he just said, "You know what, Andy, you're right where you need to be." And I was like, all right, Cliff.
Well, so I haven't looked in a while, but I believe Cliff's episode is our #1 most downloaded episode.
What's you guys' favorite? Does anybody have a favorite?
Gosh, they're all different.
Or just one that's not
This is the first time I
necessarily
had
favorite, stand out.
I like this. I like cake a lot. So.
You know what? We went to one that stands out is when we went and interviewed Ambassador Michael Froman, who was President Obama's trade representative. And it was interesting because we were early on. We were pushing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and they invited us to come over to the White House complex, which the USTR office is just across the street from the White House. And to tape an episode with him, it was so out of our element. We were in coats and ties, and there's pictures of the president all over the place. And
yeah, he wasn't sure about us either.
He wasn't sure about it, but
I feel like it's a narrative. Like people aren't really sure.
Right, no, but
that's a great episode. I mean, he was President Obama's top guy on trade.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the #1. You know, he's the ambassador for trade, and he's negotiated the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been huge for our industry. So, I mean, that was a great episode. He was really open on it, and that was well worth a listen.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll be replicated during this administration. So
our 200th episode, we're going to do.
Oh man. So I didn't know we were having cake, 100 episodes. So I got something for you guys as well.
More surprises.
Fireworks?
No.
Gifts?
We can shoot them off in the studio.
So we retaped this in Arlington, Virginia, and nearby there's a place called Beanie Weenie.
Oh gosh! Did you get pies?
I got pies.
Oh yeah!
Wow. And well, first I was gonna do this one last, but it's on top. I got this for Andy, carrot cake.
Oh yeah,
that's Andy's favorite.
That is my favorite. Thank you.
Carrot cake.
And then I got I don't know why we're stuffing our faces on the 100th episode. But I got sweet potato pies. So there's one
that Matt loves.
That I do love. So I went and bought one for myself, and I figured I should buy one for each of you guys. So we're going to be so hopped up on sugar by the time this is done.
Not to mention all the caffeine that's around the table.
101 episodes. Sold. It's like an auction. Micro Machines.
Micro Machines commercial. We just lost half our audience. So.
But I don't know. The fun thing about Shoe and Show is like every episode's different. So one episode we'll be talking with Ian with Elevate, Ian Spalding, about factory conditions and factory workforce and how we improve that production process. And the next thing we'll be talking with someone about quality control or product safety and how to look at that and make sure that your product's safe as you bring it in. And the next thing you know, we'll be talking to somebody about a retail shift or a change about how you use social media to enhance your brand or how you need to improve in-store experience. And it's just it's everything and anything about shoes, from product to issues. But really, I think it is just the shoe stories. I mean, we're in essence creating a historical catalog of the industry. And, you know, whether we remain in these jobs or we all get fired tomorrow, which is very likely at any given day at FDRA, you know, there's something that's going to be there for a long time that people can go back to and listen to. And again, a lot of those episodes in our catalog, I encourage people to go back to because, you know, it may have been, you know, a year ago, but it's still very relevant about how people think about things. I remember we taped it FN Platform last year, and we had Andy Gilbert on, and he was talking about the mall experience. And in my mind, I'm just like, the malls are dead, like what's happening. But he, you know, they have Lids and they have Journeys and they have all these great brands, and they were talking about how malls are reinvigorating themselves. And unless we had someone like Andy come on to talk about that, who does that, you have these misinformed opinions just because there's this echo chamber that everybody says, and it really takes industry leaders to come in and say, no, this is actually what's really happening, and really dig into that kind of stuff. And that's why I like the Shoe and Show, because even though we're on talking about this stuff, I think we do a really good job of coming to it as from a curious point of view of actually asking questions. We have our own informed opinions, but you know, we're willing to figure out, are we wrong? Are we right? Are we on the right path?
Yeah.
And then help spread those things out and let other people think about it too, and just start the conversation really.
Yeah. No,
I think
true.
it's also great for a person like me who's like super fresh and new, for you to be able to have like an understanding about what all is going on, because there's so much going on and so many different avenues and things that you would never think about. So it's been the easiest way for me to kind of catch on to key terms and just like all the different aspects of shoes that I never would have thought about as just a normal consumer. So.
Yeah. Well, and kudos to you, because you're not just any mid-20-year-old that you can throw in this job and hit the ground running like you did and totally fit in and make us look even better because we hired you. So with that, that's a great transition. Yeah. Anything else on the 100th episode before we transition to Jasmine?
I just want to thank you guys for being willing to come and subject yourselves to this. I mean, this is not easy. It's not easy. Pound it out. Yep. It's not easy doing this. Honestly, you have to put yourself out there a lot. People don't like doing that. It's not even public speaking. It's thinking about something on the fly and really trying to get to the questions and the answers that you're looking for. We want to, especially thank our guests that come on and join us. Yep. I mean, these people are like running Fortune 500 companies, and they take 30 minutes out of their day to come and talk.
Right.
And it's not just because of us, but it's really because they do want to share what's happening with the industry and their opinions and their viewpoints. Definitely want to thank our producers and our whole team that does this.
Blake,
we couldn't do this
Paula, and Ernesto, and other people.
And they do a great job. They're very entrepreneurial, just like we are. And it's like one of these things where they're willing to work with us to try to throw something on the wall, see if it sticks.
Yep.
And then last, I think it's really just people who listen.
Yeah.
And thanks for giving us a chance.
Absolutely. Spread the word.
Yep. Thanks for keep listening. And thanks to a lot of those folks who have emailed in and said, hey, I want to be on the show. I want to talk about something, talk about this. And we do take that seriously. We do try to get people on and different voices on and all that. So thanks for the listens, because otherwise we would have killed the show off
a long time ago. That's right. Pulled the plug. Yoink.
And I guess, looking forward after 100 episodes, what I'd really hope for is, not just that the listenership grows, but we can keep having dynamic conversations.
Right.
Dynamic
on all things footwear.
On all things shoes. Yeah. But really, become that kind of hub where you can't just have a conversation in 5 minutes and get something out of it really these days if you want something in depth on the industry. So kind of be that source for just a bank of knowledge about shoes, really.
Yep.
So, and you can find all the past episodes on our website at shoeandshow.com. You can Google just Shoe and Show podcast. Yep. You can find the whole list. And thanks again to the folks who left us voicemails.
Yeah, thanks to them.
Well wishes. So this is Shoein 100 episodes. Thanks to all our loyal listeners out there. And until next time, the 101st Shoein Show is coming up soon. Until then, we're out.
Shoein has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.